And so comes, yes, so comes part 2 of this video. Hello guys, my apologies for the super long video before. I tried to keep it short, but God knows it just did not work out. So let's continue right where we left off without further ado. Again, if you've seen part 1, good, we can begin. If you haven't watched part 1 of this video, watch part 1 first for you to understand. So continuing with my talk of the problem with BBC and also allowing anti-American sentiments to seep into Doctor Who. Okay, again, continuing with that. Another problem with having anti-American sentiments is the second you allow injustice or intolerance or bigotry or segregation towards one nation, you allow it to all nations. Because if you allow yourself to segregate yourself or segregate other people from yourself, you can do it to anybody. And that is not what Doctor Who was made for. That's not what Doctor Who is about. It never was. That was not the point. And if it was, the writers knew to keep their problems or their opinions at the door when they worked on the show. The only good thing I'll say about the Peter Capaldi era and about Moffat's era is by talking about that, by making the Doctor feel anti-American for 1 second, you did unfold a major problem at the BBC. Because the reason why I was not able to ever promote my books or at least fight and say, hey, I was treated unjustly because I'm an American author, is because I had no evidence. Everything, all my rejection came verbally. I had no physical evidence. So Moffat, when you came forward and you allowed the Doctor to appear anti-American or for UNIT to appear anti-American or rejecting Americans for any stupid reason, you actually exposed a problem, but I know I can't give you much credit for that because you didn't mean it to be like that. It was just accidental. I thank you for that, for your accidental act of bigotry. But either way, when it came to the Peter Capaldi era, you do see a significant change by series 10, where the very beginning you see the show trying to ease its way back into an American audience and try to get back its fans. But here's the problem. If you're using that as an excuse for, oh, look, we got better, but you got better at the very end of your era when you no longer had anything to lose and the Peter Capaldi era was teetering. I'm not one of those YouTubers who's going to imagine or pretend like the Peter Capaldi era was always successful. It wasn't. There was a long time where it was easily the least successful era of the new show. And the reason why it was given a resurgence, resurgence. I'm going to just tell it like it is. This is coming from someone who loves many aspects of the Peter Capaldi era. I do not hate Peter Capaldi. I do not hate Moffat. Moffat, I think you are a great writer. Peter, you're a great actor. I just don't blindly follow anyone or make excuses because I like you. I can love someone and disagree with them, but I can despise someone and admit they have a good point. That's the way it is. That's always going to be the way it is with me. Period. So, when it comes to this concept, I'm going to be honest, guys. What it is just Series 10 was you, again, trying to get back into the good graces because it was vanity. You don't really care about the people, you care about trying to make yourself look good again. A man is like a woman. We're not good when we have nothing to lose. Our virtues are only real when we choose to be good people who believe in equality when we have nothing to gain. With Series 10, you guys had nothing to lose by trying to get back into America's good graces again. You had nothing to lose. You now were exiting, you were on your way out, knew you guys were not coming back, so you had nothing to lose but try to make yourself look good again. Get love back again. You are who you love, not who loves you. And if you chose to love people, all people in a general sense, if the doctor chose to love everyone equally, he's who he loves, not who loves him. And you failed to understand that. The doctor is a heroic dick. He's a jerk, but he's heroic. He loves and hates equally. I'm sorry, but it's a fact. The doctor loves and despises pretty equally. He's a heroic dick, but he's not a bigot. Please remember this. You cannot allow inequality of that nature to work its way into the doctor's character and say, oh, well, that's character development. It's not, because nothing about that was framed to be character development. We never see the doctor confront a moment where he acknowledges he was bigoted in that episode. He just changes his ways in series 10 because now he's trying to look good again, trying to get fandom back again. There's no real growth. That sort of behavior where you literally have the doctor reject Americans outright. First of all, if you think, oh, well, it was meant to be a joke, nothing about that scene was funny. Nothing. Moffat, you are a better writer than me in every sense of the word. Nothing about that scene was funny. It was written and delivered deadpan. It was serious. When you write scenes like that, it has to be written comedically, and you have to include the person you're offending. Like, for example, in TV shows like The Mummy, or movies like The Mummy, where you have people making fun of Americans, but there's an American right there that the British people are still collaborating with and they're siding with. It works there. Or TV shows like Elementary, where there's sometimes jokes about Americans. But it's okay, because there's Americans right there who they're still friends with. Or TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where there are jabs at Americans. But it's okay, because it's British people talking to Americans about this, and still befriending Americans. You can only insult a nation as long as you still like them. But you can't insult them and them not be there to receive the insult and bounce off the insult. Do you see what I'm getting at? So none of this really works here. But for the doctor, he's written to be anti-bigotry, anti-segregation. And the more it's done, where he's written like that in front of the camera and behind the camera, when it comes to people who are working on the show, then you have your show. You do. Remember, to the doctor, to bigotry, he offers no sanction. To intolerance and racism, he offers no domain. Then you have the damn doctor, and you have a head writer, and you have a show. The reason why the 11th Doctor was popular, even though YouTube tries his best to pretend like he was popular because he wasn't anyone's doctor. He was everyone's doctor. And that's what you need from the show. You can't leave your bigotry, your prejudice, your intolerance at the door when you come in to work on Doctor Who. You cannot produce it, you cannot direct it, you cannot write it, and you cannot play the doctor. Moffat, I love you. Peter Capaldi, I love you. But that moment, I could not look at you because you weren't worth looking at in any conceivable way. Just do the damn doctor. Please. Okay. Now we go to the Jodie Whittaker era. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, Chibnall, Chibnall, Chibnall. You guys made mistakes from the ground running. Okay, I admit I cannot comment on the writing of the Chibnall era because I've only seen 3 episodes of the Chibnall era. It wasn't my bag, and let it go. I am one of those women who admit was not crazy about the doctor being a woman. I'm still not very much for it. The reason why is because I'd be a hypocrite. There are many female characters who I blatantly admit, from a cinematic standpoint, that I love, that I do not want men to play. This is not against you men. Men, you are amazing. You are wonderful. There are very many male characters I identify with and I like. But there are roles like, for example, Xena, warrior princess. I loved Xena growing up. I identified with her. Xena, Gabrielle, and Callisto. I loved those three women from that show. I do not want men to play them. It was important to me that there was a woman there. I loved it. When it came to, again, Sarah Connor, I loved Sarah Connor. She was awesome to me. I do not want a man to play it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I do not want a man to play Buffy. It has nothing to do with men sucking. But guys, I'd be devastated. It was important to me that there were women who always were playing the Vampire Slayers. That was a part of the lore. I love seeing Buffy, then Kendra, etc. and so forth. I loved all of that stuff. It would devastate me. And from the Star Trek world, from gosh, Ahura down to, Janeway and Seven of Nine, the women on, Next Generation, Enterprise, DePaul, and Hoshi. And also again, DS9, Kira, Dax. I don't want men to play them. I don't want them. For Orville, all the women, the Doctor, and Penny Johnson's character, all the women on Orville. I liked seeing women in those roles. It would devastate me for the gender swap to happen in the middle of the show and me just to expect to go buy it. It would devastate me. I'm okay with gender swaps only in three scenarios. One, if you're modernizing a classic, you gotta change genders to have more diversity amongst the cast. You're not removing men, you're including women. Again, or you're doing an adaptation of something. Those all that makes sense to me. But when you're changing the gender mid-show on a show where there are already many females to begin with, and you're taking a male and making it to a female and saying, yeah, representation, we had representation. And for you to think that representation means taking a male character, making it into a female, is creating the ultimate woman, I'm kind of offended by that concept. So there was already that going against it. But when the show, had a female doctor, and the first thing they did with the actress and the show itself, bashing the idea of not being able to imagine old white guys playing the part, again, that's racist, that's sexist, and that's not treating people equally. I can't condone that. The way it's wrong that we black people, if we're excluded from something, it's wrong. If again Asians are excluded from something, it's wrong. If again Mexicans, Hispanics, Native Americans, any nationality, if they're excluded from something, it's wrong. If we women are excluded from something, it's wrong. Saying when you say you can't stand seeing an old white guy in a part, that old white guy's inhibited for a while, that's racist, and I can't back it. That's just wrong. I can't back it. I just can't, because I'm a hypocrite. And again, I'm okay with gender swaps and racial swaps, but it has to be done in the right sort of way, which I'll explain more in the comment section if you need me to. So I can't back it at all. Now you see the common thread through everything I spoke of today. What is the main problem with each era? They all have the same flaw. Somebody is being treated unequally. First, you got the male companions. The first African English companion, Martha Jones, with how Moffat was treated when his seasons were broken up in the 11th Doctor's era, and how, again, the Doctor became anti-American, and thus being very racist to African American, Asian American, Native American, Caucasian American, Mexican American, any American sort of child who's in the audience watching the Doctor be bigoted towards them just because of the country they're born in. Then again, the Whitaker era, being bigoted or somebody's segregation oriented or prejudiced towards the previous inhabitants of the character. I can't back these because, again, the problem is always inequality. For Doctor Who to function, There has to be a sense of equality in front of the camera and behind the camera. Doctor Who always works at its very best when equality is fully established. That's when Doctor Who works the best. In front of the camera and behind the camera. If you understand when coming to Doctor Who that all men and women and children are created equal, you have your show. The Doctor is not anyone's doctor. He's everyone's doctor. You have your show. And honestly, I don't understand why this is so hard. So, seriously, I just don't get it. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. But you guys can't seem to understand. So Russell T. Davies, when you are going forward, this is my advice to you. When you are working on the show again, and you're employing writers, and you yourself are doing this, because I know now it's somebody else, not just the BBC working on Doctor Who, it's an independent company, I believe now. When going forward, look at writers and yourself. If you judge them by the content of their writing, the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, the color of their gender, or the color of their flag, but by the content of their character and the content of their writing, you will have your show. Because there was a dream that was Doctor Who. Make it a dream again. Make it so. The second you treat every nation equally, when working on Doctor Who, your writing automatically becomes better because you have a wide expanse of what you can work with. And it's not fun. Again, it's not fun being an American who is never allowed to feel or allowed to be a part of something. For example, Russell T. Davies, you wrote in your thing, oh yes, when you wrote an announcement about you coming back, you said Doctor Who should have its own channel. For example, let's bring back Donna Noble. I did that 5 years ago. I brought Donna back and made her the companion to the 12th Doctor for a while. Oh, let's have a whole season for the 10th Doctor. Did that too. The 11th Doctor did that too. As also you wrote, there should be a Nisa Adventures. I did that too 5 years ago. And I'll spend my entire time not knowing if BBC has been ripping off my work for quite a while, because I found out very soon, about 6 months ago, that there were people in the BBC who did read my books and did know they exist. It's not a fun feeling to be not treated equally. Russell, treat people equally, and you will have Doctor Who. You will have your dream. I want to believe you can do this. Again, I hate to go all Captain Picard on you, but make it so, and you will have Doctor Who. Please, Russell, judge people by the content of their writing, by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin, not by the color of their gender, not by the color of their flag, the content of their character. You will have your dream. You will have Doctor Who. Good luck, Russell. Good luck, mate.